This is your WGBW Daily News Roundup for the Talk of Green Bay, 97.9 FM and 1590 AM.
Civic Media News. I'm Terry Bell. Here's what Wisconsin needs to know. Governor Evers is calling for a special meeting of the legislature's Joint Finance Committee next week to release $125 million to clean up PFAS pollution in Wisconsin. Evers' plan would let the Department of Natural Resources decide how to spend the money instead of a framework created by lawmakers the governor vetoed yesterday. Wisconsin hasn't had a Department of Natural Resources secretary since Adam Payne stepped down in October. Governor Evers tells the Journal Sentinel he wants to make sure he makes the right choice. Also in October, the state Senate fired more than half the Natural Resources Board, which sets the agency's policies. Silver alerts will now be issued when children go missing but don't qualify for any other kind of alert. The Prince Act is named after Prince McCree, who went missing in Milwaukee last fall and was found dead the next day. His family had asked for an Amber Alert, but his case didn't meet the criteria. Communities around Wisconsin have more than doubled their property tax revaluation since 2020. Forward Analytics says local governments want to make sure property owners aren't underpaying their share in taxes if the market value on their homes is soaring while their assessed value stays flat. Enbridge Energy's controversial Line 5 will likely come up when the Permanent Forum on Indigenous Issues meets in New York next week. The Bad River Band of Lake Superior, Chippewa says Line 5 is still a threat to their land.
The Bad River Band is already at a risk of an oil spill because the pipeline is going directly through their reservation, and the reroute, if you look at the map, it's basically hugging the reservation boundaries.
Stephanie Sosi is a lawyer for Earth Justice. Line 5 carries up to 23 million gallons of oil and natural gas every day. New worker safety regulations may have unintended consequences. The federal government now requires long-haul truckers to log their hours on wireless devices. But that could expose millions of trucks to hackers.
Those systems that never used to be connected to the internet or have any wireless connections, they are becoming more and more connected, and that can introduce vulnerabilities.
Jake Jepson is the co-author of a study that shows how hackers can manipulate trucks remotely. I'm Terry Bell, Civic Media News. Now here's what you need to know closer to home.
For WGBW News, I'm Lisa Hale. According to the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, 113 cases of measles have been reported in 17 states. With cases showing up in neighboring states, Wisconsin may not be far behind. While there have been no reported cases of measles here in Wisconsin, Jackie Grignon, the communicable disease supervisor for Winnebago County, says they are ready.
It is something we plan for. Measles is highly contagious.
Doug Guerin, Director and Health Officer of the Winnebago County Health Department, says the possibility of transmission of measles is higher than it has been in some time.
While it's very difficult to predict whether we'll have a case of measles, we certainly know that the conditions are such that it wouldn't be a big surprise.
Measles is one of the most contagious of the vaccine-preventable diseases. It spreads through coughing and sneezing, and the virus can live in the air for 2 hours. Dr. Katrina Nordyke, the Deputy Health Officer of Brown County.
So if there's a group of 10 people who aren't vaccinated, exposed, about 9 of them can become ill. I guess my point being it's extremely, extremely contagious.
Of the cases reported so far in 2024, 58 of them have been in Chicago. The Green Bay School Board may ask for another version of plans to consolidate public schools. Currently, 2 scenarios for consolidation have been presented, but each has less than 30% support from the community. Interim Superintendent Vicki Bayer is asking for a third scenario that will continue to address budget shortfalls through school closures, but will minimize student movement and feeder pattern disruptions. A Wrightstown man is charged with asking a minor to send him naked pictures, stalking a victim under 18. 45-year-old Craig Pagel is accused of spoofing numbers to send harassing text messages to underage girls. The criminal complaint says he created a dozen Facebook accounts to solicit naked pictures from adults and underage girls. He's due back in court April 26th for an initial appearance. A federal grand jury returned indictments for attempted sexual exploitation of a minor against a Janesville man. Officials say 40-year-old David Fuchs was communicating online, sending explicit photos and requesting photos from an undercover officer from Outagamie County. He thought the officer was a 12-year-old girl. Fuchs was also communicating with undercover officers from Manitowoc County and the Madison Police. Fuchs is a registered sex offender. If convicted of the charges, he faces a minimum of 25 years in federal prison. And that's what you need to know. I'm Lisa Hale, WGBW News.
The Brewers get a win in Cincinnati. Hi, I'm Mike Clemens with sports. The Brewers battled to a 9-5 victory over the Reds. Another new face in the crew lineup, 23-year-old Blake Perkins, got the start in center field and drove in 3 runs. Brewers manager Pat Murphy.
You know, like, this kid loves baseball. His personality is so calm and cool, collected, and he watches the game as good as anyone.
NBA, the Bucks with a much-needed win, 104-91 over the Boston Celtics. Giannis Antetokounmpo had to undergo an MRI after limping off the court in the third quarter with pain in his left calf muscle. As for the game, there was only 2 shots from the free throw line, a new NBA record. Doc Rivers.
Man, 1:57 game time. My goodness. You can go to a game and still have dinner.
NFL, the Packers tailgate tour continues its drive around the state.
Some of the nonprofits or doors about to close, and the Green Bay Packer Foundation helps them.
That's Packers Hall of Famer Leroy Butler. With sports, I'm Mike Clemens.
On your entertainment beat, I'm Pete Schwaba. If you missed the 26th Annual Wisconsin Film Festival in Madison, take a short drive east this weekend and check out the impressive 16th Annual Milwaukee Film Festival, which kicks off April 11th and runs for 2 weeks until April 25th. Milwaukee Film offers an impressive list of international and domestic films. More information is available at mkefilm.org. As popular as Game of Thrones was, there's only been one spin-off, House of the Dragon, that's made it to the screen. For the time being, that will continue to be the case, as the Jon Snow spin-off has been shelved, according to Yahoo News. The show was pitched by Kit Harington, who portrayed Snow, but it's been reported that HBO has tabled it for the time being. Harington said they threw ideas around, but nothing really resonated, adding that he doesn't want to be part of a so-so product on screen. Apparently, Harington learned his lesson when he was in Pompeii, which received 27% on Rotten Tomatoes. Curb Your Enthusiasm's final episode was last Sunday. Susie Essman, who plays foul-mouthed Susie Green on the show, says fans are visibly upset when they approach her on the street, and she is kind and gracious to them, adding that she thinks fans want her to tell them to go bleep themselves and keep walking. Essman says that is not how she is at all in real life, and that's why it's called acting. I'm sure she is lovely in real life, but her character will be missed. Sylvester Stallone has been accused of creating a toxic environment on the set of Tulsa King. Stallone is the lead actor of the Taylor Sheridan executive-produced show, which is currently filming its 2nd season in Atlanta. Stallone was overheard saying to the director that the background actors were ugly and that he wanted to be surrounded by young, pretty girls. Is anyone surprised? Folks, if you take steroids for decades, it's bound to affect your ability to speak intelligently, especially if you are incapable of doing so beforehand. Jon Stewart poked fun at Fox News for tying Monday's eclipse to the immigration issue. Deadline.com reports that Fox News anchors warned their viewers about the dangers the eclipse posed to the border, saying that the cartels and smugglers would use the 4-minute temporary shade to enter the country. Stewart responded, saying, or they could wait till nighttime. Stewart continued lampooning Fox by saying this year's cicada infestation could provide perfect cover for border crossers. Monday nights on Comedy Central sure are fun. Does anybody really pay attention to what a host wears during a major award show? Well, the fashion police do, and they were out in force following the Country Music Awards last weekend. People.com reports that singer Kelsey Ballerini changed her outfit 9 times while hosting the Country Music Awards. That is impressive, folks. Just reading this Hollywood update, I've only changed clothes once. For more showbiz fun, tune in to Nightlight with me, Pete Schwaba, every night between 7 and 9 p.m. on the Civic Media Radio Network.
Sunny this morning, becoming partly cloudy by later this afternoon. It will be warmer today with a high near 70. The wind out of the southwest at 5 to 15. Tonight, showers after midnight, our low 45. Tomorrow, cloudy, breezy, colder with rain. We could get a half inch or more of rain tomorrow through tomorrow night. Our high tomorrow, 55. I'm meteorologist Sean Cable. Right now, it's 48.
That's your WGBW Daily News Roundup from Civic Media. Subscribe to this podcast on Spotify, Apple, or wherever you find your podcasts. Find more news at WGBW.FM.